Hi, and thank you for dropping in. This is the very first episode of Amazing People and Properties France, brought to you by The Property Investor. Over the coming months, I have the privilege of travelling across France, meeting and spending time with some extraordinary individuals with some truly remarkable properties. Now, many of these properties are renovation jobs. Some are conversions, while others have been built brick by brick using a little bit of money, lots of imagination and tons of determination. Now, our very first show, we're doing something that is just a little bit special. We've been talking to a couple who've spent the past 18 years renovating a 15th century medieval castle and turning it into a home, and the result, truly remarkable. David and Leslie Lewis retired to France from the UK 18 years ago, picked up the keys to an abandoned castle and decided to make it their home. Now, if this sounds like a fantasy story to you, it did to me when I first heard it. But after spending time with them, I finally began to realise that perhaps anything is possible when it comes to amazing people and properties. Watch this interview. Well, I've heard so much about the property that you've created here, and I've got to say that I have been looking forward to coming here and actually seeing the truth behind the myth. And I've got to say that what I've seen so far has been extraordinary. David, tell me how this started. When did you realise that you had this passion for building and living in a castle?
Well, I like old buildings ever since I was about 16. We did our A-level and we went off to see various old houses like Montague House, Brimton, Devonshire and Somerset, and that got me interested. And then I became a French teacher and we used to come to France quite a lot. And castles are everywhere in France. And they're very cheap compared with English property. So when we retired, it was a sort of dream to come and live in France. But we missed a lot because we didn't bite the bullet and say, yes, we'll have it. We'd go back home and put our own house on the market. And in the meantime, somebody else would buy the house or the chateau or the manoir or whatever it was. And then one day we were coming down, we're going back to the ferry, weren't we? We were going back to the ferry and we called in to La Souterraine for lunch. And saw this castle in the window of an estate agent, but he was shut for lunch and he wasn't going to open again until 2:30. And we were heading for the ferry, so he didn't have time to wait. So we stuck a note under the door and asked him to send us details, which he did. And a year later we came back and decided, we came here, looked at it, decided we'd go for it.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Yeah.
It tried to put us off.
It did?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because I reckon he'd had a whole summer. It was September when we came back the second time. And I think he'd had a whole summer of people sort of saying they were interested just to go and have a look.
Sightseers.
Sightseers,
So.
You see a castle for nothing, So he said, it's got flagstone floors, not nice parquet. And we said, we like flagstones. Yeah. And he says, it's got beams and not lovely plaster. So we said, we love oak beams. In the end, he was convinced we were mad, but that we perhaps genuinely were interested. So
we came and looked and just said yes.
Wow.
Just like that, straight
without having sold a house in England.
Right, okay. So you were still gambling a little bit, but
yes.
not a lot. It's quite a gamble.
A lot.
It was a gamble because
we thought the house in England would sell quicker than it did.
And we knew it was worth a hell of a lot more than this.
So we were all right.
We knew if we had to drop the price drastically to sell it, we could still afford this easily. So
what was the state of the castle when you first took ownership?
Up in the top floor there were no ceilings at all. You looked straight up to the tiles. There were no floors in the first floor level. They had holes in them, big holes. All needed replacing, the floors.
The whole top floor.
Because it had been a farm building before?
They only lived in 2 rooms, the farmer.
Out of how many rooms?
About 15.
15, 16.
So 2 rooms were used out of 15 or 16?
Yeah, what is now our kitchen had ducks and chickens and things in it. That was a sort of poulailler. And all the upstairs rooms were used for crops, like wheat, corn, potatoes, whatever, it was a mixed farm, I presume, so they all sorts of things were stored up there, and they rotted the floors.
Wow.
Ruined the floors.
Nothing you're saying would encourage the average person to think that this is a good idea. What made you think that this?
That's why it had been on the market for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what convinced me it was a good idea was we just loved the spiral staircase.
Okay, that's a good start.
That was one of the things that really sets off.
Yeah,
And
that
also,
really got me.
it was the big sitting room was almost identical with the house we had in England.
So we knew our furniture
beams
would
and
fit in
fireplace.
nicely.
Okay.
And we knew our furniture would fit in and it would look right. And I'd already renovated and built a house in England, so I knew I could do it from that point of view. And I mean, basically, this was nothing like what I had done in England previously. The house I bought in England, I bought as a building site, and it had 2 old thatched cottages on it, and it had a slum clearance order on it, a demolition order. I was supposed to demolish it and put up 2 bungalows. And when I saw the inside of it,
this was good.
Okay. And how long did that project take to complete?
Well, because I built another house on the end, it took
40
more or less 40 years.
Oh my word. And were you anticipating another 40 years on this project?
No, we did this one in mere 14.
He knew he hadn't got 40 years
I don't think
left.
anybody could actually imagine.
I was 65, 66 when we bought this place, so I knew I didn't, very unlikely to have another 40 years. I wasn't likely to live to be 106. But,
mind you, knowing you, David, you probably will.
I might,
You
with any
probably
luck.
will.
Right, we got
Yeah. So you actually took on this incredible project after you'd retired.
Yeah. Well, I wanted something to do, because I'd finished the one in England, and this was just so amazing. I mean, you sell 2 thatched cottages in England, you buy a castle, for God's sake.
Well, what's to think about?
Yeah.
So what was the first thing you had to do once you took over the ownership of the property? What were the big things you had
Insulation.
to do? Keeping warm.
Keeping
warm.
Yeah. We said we came over in September and August actually, and then we had a fairly cold September, and did have central heating in the ground floor and some of the first floor from the previous owners. So we put the central heating on, oil central heating, and burned £100 worth of oil in about a week.
Wow. Okay.
Because I
realise
going
that
full
pension
tilt
doesn't
just to keep it
stretch
vaguely warm in September.
And so you were living inside the castle while you were working on it. At the
Oh,
same
yeah.
time?
Oh yeah, the whole
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'd had enough of living in caravans and doing it like I had done it in England to start with. No, it was reasonably comfortable.
Oh, it was.
Once we insulated the loft, and that was a big job because it was a very long loft, huge, and then we got
put double
glazing.
That made a big difference.
That made a huge difference because the old windows, there were panes of glass missing in a lot of the rooms that weren't lived in upstairs, and we had swallows nesting in what is now one of the bedrooms. I've left a swallow's nest on the beam.
Oh, they're still there, are they?
Yeah.
They don't still live there.
Okay, that's
no, the nest
No,
is there as a
it's
sort of reminder.
Right.
Yeah.
Quite fun, actually.
And now that you've you renovated, is it complete? Have you finished?
You never finish, really. I've just ordered 140 square metres of flagstones to make a terrace outside. So that's the next job.
Well, when you say you're going to make, do you mean literally you're going to make?
No,
a terrace?
I've got a friend who's a builder, a proper builder. He's registered and everything, and he's going to come and do it. But I will make sure he does it exactly as I want it done.
Of course you will.
If I was younger, I would do it myself because I've laid lots of flagstones in England, much heavier ones than these, because these are cut just so they're all the same thickness. The ones in England were just random. So
now you can project manage this project.
Yeah, I'll
instead.
project manage this. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
more or less inside is more or less finished.
It's just little bits, finishing off bits, that's all. Really. Yeah.
Which I shall frantically do just before we sell it. That's what happened in England. In England, all the little bits that never got a little bit of skirt, or that wasn't fit right. When we put it on the market, I thought we better get those bits done.
I can't imagine you. Could you imagine living in anything less than the property you have now?
I don't want it.
Two-bedroom
He's
flat.
already said he's never going to leave.
Never. I can't imagine you leaving. I can't imagine you leaving. This is your home now, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What's it called, by the way, the castle? Does it have a name?
Yeah.
Yes, just the same, Chateau de Monsac, because it's that's the name of the village.
Right. And just so that I understand, are we talking 17th century?
No,
No.
15th century.
15th century.
It's about 1450.
Right. Okay. And I understand that you've been very careful to try to restore the castle to what it may have looked like.
As far as you can, but make it comfortable.
Hmm.
I mean, it wouldn't have had bathrooms, for instance.
No.
We've now got bathrooms.
No.
So some of the rooms, I don't know what they were used for originally, but they're now.
Well, there would have been a lot of people living there.
Yeah.
Right,
So
okay, yeah, you'd
the
have
rooms would
servants.
been-
And,
yeah, they would have.
Well, yeah, and in the
Used
beginning,
most of
there were a lot of
the rooms.
soldiers living in it because
Yes.
it was a fortified castle. So
Right,
it had a sort of like a small private army almost living there.
and also, I understand that you've been creating, they're called tapestries and quilts and what have you.
Yes, I do a lot of needlework because Dave is very occupied doing all his woodwork and things. So I do a lot of sewing or a lot of gardening, depending on the weather.
Wonderful. Now, just looking back over the past, how long has it been that you've been working on this project now?
18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
Looking back over the past 18 years, any regrets at all?
No, not for me.
No.
No. Yeah, I miss
I do
English
miss-
pubs. That's about the only thing I miss.
I do miss seeing more of the family.
Yeah, that's what we
Because
see.
it's not quite so easy to just jump in the
No.
car and go back to England.
But I gather they're quite happy to come to see you because they're going to stay in the castle for a few weeks.
Yes, they come and stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be great, hasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have got two sons who live in France anyway.
Okay.
So,
Not too far away.
3 hours.
Yeah.
One's 2 hours and one's 3 hours. One lives north of us. The other one lives 3 hours south.
Well, in France, 3 hours is practically next door, isn't it, really? So,
Yes.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
well, for anybody thinking of taking on a project similar to the ones that you're still working on, what sort of advice would you give to anyone looking to create their own home inside a medieval castle?
I think the first thing you've got to make sure of is that you've got enough money. Because, I mean, we were lucky. We bought this for 40% of what we sold our house in England for. So we had a sort of buffer.
But
Because
I think-
it's more expensive. It's always more expensive than things
Yeah,
will be.
yeah. So people tend to budget and
Yeah,
think they
yeah.
can do it, and
Yeah.
then after a few years find that they can't.
Well, the prices have gone up in the
Yeah.
meantime. Well,
Yeah.
over 14 years, the price of a bag of cement has increased
Yeah,
enormously.
I can imagine.
So, you've got to make sure that's one thing. The other thing, you've got to have confidence that you can actually if you're going to do a lot of it yourself, you've got to have confidence that you can actually, use a saw and a hammer and this sort of thing. Power tools are helpful nowadays. Amazing power tools you can get very cheaply,
Right.
I mean, I had to screw something like 4,000 screws, literally 4,000 screws, to screw the floorboards down because they're all screwed down, they're not nailed down. And then they're plugged with little plugs so you can't see the screws. And basically, because you can now get screwdrivers with batteries, electric
Right,
screws,
yeah.
if I'd had to do it by hand, I'd have had this
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
At least you go, bzz, and it's in, bzz, it's in. So,
Power tools
Power tools.
make
Yeah.
huge difference.
make
Right.
huge difference.
Yeah.
So make
So
sure you've got
make
the
sure-
budget, make
yeah.
sure you've got power
Power
tools,
tools.
and make sure you have the belief and confidence that you can actually
And
get
that,
the job done.
if you
Yeah.
can read a book and
Yeah.
follow plans, then you can do it. It's not rocket science.
Well, I don't know what it is. It could be rocket science, it could be faith, it could be the fact that you've got the belief in yourself to take on a project like this.
Mm.
But whatever it is, it clearly works for you, and you've produced something that a lot of people would consider to be extraordinary. I'd like to take a look around your palace, your castle home, if I may. But before we go, just got to say thank you so much for talking to me. And
Pleasure.
I hope that we can see you again very, very soon.
Hope you might have inspired somebody to go and do something similar.
I get a feeling you probably have done.
Yeah,
Thank
that'd
you.
be good.